Hey, everybody. Welcome to Spiritual Vacancy, where we are here to help fill your spiritual void. My name is Brooke Ann. I'm a psychic medium and a Reiki practitioner, and I am with my lovely.
Hello, I'm Mona Lee. I'm an owner of Beautiful Mind in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, energy healing for mind, body, and spirit. And we are here just to fill spiritual voids. Welcome to our podcast. Yes, it's so fun to do this. And it's casual.
This is our first time, but who do we have with us? I'm so excited.
Yes.
We have Leigh King.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Leigh.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Leigh is a tarot reader, Reiki Master, and she's working on her mediumship right now. She's also getting into paranormal investigations, and she is a dear friend of ours. So we are so excited to interview you today and talk with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and an honor to be the first in-person guest. That's exciting. I love that.
Us too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So how did you kind of get started like in tarot and the Reiki, and what was your journey like to get you to where you are today?
Oh goodness. It's been a long road, but I was always a weird kid. I was really into ghosts from the time I was very small. And I got that from my mom. My mom was also very into ghosts, psychics, all of that. And so I was really into that world. I picked up my first tarot deck when I was 18, and have been reading ever since, but didn't really start to read professionally until a few years ago. My spiritual awakening, I would say, happened in January of 2022. I had a miscarriage, and I've had a lot of loss in my life. I lost my mom, I lost a best friend, I lost a cousin, I lost a lot of people very close to me. And in those losses, I'd always kind of numbed. I drank it away, I'd smoked it away, I'd pushed it back and not healed it, just kind of kept it going. And when I had the miscarriage, I felt like I was at this crossroads of I can either handle this the way I've handled everything else and just kind of keep it rolling, or I can actually try to heal. And so I reached out to a friend of mine. Shout out to Danielle. She owns Wilderness Yoga here in town, to do what I thought were going to be just like private yoga sessions, which I thought was just going to like get my body back moving and stuff. Well, the first time I sat down with her, she said, lay down. And she was like, I'm going to assess your chakras. And I said, what is a chakra? Like, I had no idea what she was talking about. And so she did. And so we began these one-on-one sessions where we just kind of really started to focus in on each chakra at a time. And, you know, she was having me eat foods for those chakras and do different mantras and all these things. And it was like this light bulb went off, and all of a sudden everything looked different and felt different. And yeah. And so I really leaned into tarot at that point. Like I said, I'd been reading for a long time, but really started to lean into it more as a tool for guidance and clarity. And then started reading for other people, and those seemed to do really well. And so then it became kind of like a thing. And then my Reiki journey, I met Teresa Bennett Yates, who's my Reiki mentor teacher, and I had no idea what Reiki even was. She explained it. I went to her and I got all my Reiki training one-on-one, which is kind of rare. Most people do it in group sessions, but I did all of mine one-on-one with her. So yeah, once that light bulb went off, it was just a a full rolling thing, and I was just kind of along for the ride. So
when you had that experience, was that kind of like something that you had been almost like yearning or missing, where you're like, oh my gosh, I've been kind of feeling a little off, and now I kind of know where I fit in or where my place is at?
100%. I think I'd, always felt different. and always been extremely sensitive, extremely empathic from as long as I can remember. And I think that that is a lot of the reason that I, dealt with substances and those kind of things, because it kind of like brought me down, and yeah, when it started, it was just like, this is it. Like everything started to make sense. I felt, and I think one of the things that happens a lot in a spiritual awakening is different people kind of fall away. And so that started happening. People that have been in my life for a really long time, people that I thought were my people, but it just, things shifted and my vibration shifted and all these things. So yeah, I think it definitely just felt like everything was like, clicked right into place. And since then I've created like a whole new tribe, and yeah, it's great.
That is amazing, isn't it? When something that can happen so difficult in our lives, and then when we try to bury ourselves from who we really are and the truths and the things that have happened, was a catapult to put you into your dharma, into the space and the way that you're meant to be serving on this planet. And stop hiding from yourself. Like you were saying, like burying yourself. And I know there's a lot of spiritual people who end up doing that, to where they get so afraid with what they see, right? They're seeing things, they're sensing things, they're knowing that they're sensing more than what they really talk about, because it was never really encouraged in the programming, I think, in society, until we finally have something that clicks and goes, oh my goodness, and things just falling into place.
Exactly.
With your spiritual work.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite thing that you do when you're working with people? What's your favorite thing that happens for you when you're working with others?
Well, tarot for me is just such a passion, and I find it to be so relevant always. The cards are going to tell you what you need to hear, period, end of story. I'm just kind of the conduit of that. But I love in a tarot reading when when it's like one of those, oh my God, we were just talking about that, or like, oh my God, I was just saying that, or like, that kind of light bulb moment for them, or when, when they come in and want to be a little shy or private about what's happening, and the cards just kind of lay it out, and I'm like, you can hide it from me, but you're not hiding it from me, so yeah, I think just watching people have the realization that the spirit and is going to come through, and they're going to get the message that they need, and I'm just kind of the channel for that. I think that's always my favorite part.
That is there like one memory with a session, or whether it was Reiki or tarot, or is there something that kind of sticks out in your memory that you could share with everybody?
Yeah, so I recently I don't usually read people super close to me, but I do occasionally read one of my best friends. And he and I have known each other for 1,000,001 years, and he is more like a brother than a friend at this point. But he's been going through it and trying to figure out kind of, what direction to go. And so he's contemplating, he's between these different options, and we're in this reading, and he's like really unhappy in the job he's in. And we're going through, and I'm like, something's coming. I think he had Ace of Pentacles. Like it was definitely like kind of an offering, or like something's coming that's gonna be good. And in that moment, he gets a text message that was a job offer.
Oh
in the moment. In the moment, yeah. And I was like, I'm really good at this.
No, but she really is.
No, but it was crazy. It was one of those moments like, oh my, like could not believe it, but yeah, I know. Yeah, but that one sticks out. Yeah, that was not too long ago either. That was just a few months ago.
That's great. Oh my God. And by the way, everybody listening, she is amazing at tarot.
Thank you.
She read my cards and they were spot on, and she didn't even know certain things about me that came through the cards, and I'm like,
there you go.
Oh yeah. So she's amazing at what she does, but what about the paranormal side?
Oh,
when did that start?
Right? I want to know about that.
Yeah. So my first memory of like really making a connection between like that I was sensing spirit. I was about 8, and we had moved to this little town called Franklin, Tennessee, which is not so little anymore. Apparently, it's a huge suburb of Nashville. It's like where all the country music stars live.
Yeah.
But we moved there when I was, in 3rd grade, and it's a big Civil War town. There was a Battle of Franklin there. And so I've always been really into history, and there were a few different historic mansions, plantations there that I was obsessed with. I wanted to go all the time on these tours. And so it got to the point that we literally went almost every weekend. My parents were like, okay, this is a little much. But
they're so supportive.
yeah,
That's so wonderful.
well, at the time they thought I was just a history nerd. They didn't realize I was like there for the ghosts, I don't know if they would have been as open to taking me. Yeah, but so I kept saying that this place smelled like my grandma's house, and I would say it over and over, and my my parents were like, your grandma's house smells like coffee and cigarettes. What are you talking about? And what I came to find is that that was kind of my main clair, if you will, was through smell. I could smell spirit, and I still can. But it was not until that, even though I was little, that I kind of like put the connection together. And then it became this thing that like, anywhere I go, when I walk in a place, I can kind of sniff it out like a like a little psychic bloodhound, I guess. Like, so I don't know. Good juju. But yeah, so that was kind of like my start. And then I'm huge like ghost hunters fan. Like, not all ghost shows. Not all ghost shows are created equal, honey, but there are a few that I love. I love the investigation tactics from a compassion and empathy place, and realizing these are, people that you're speaking to, and a lot of them are just looking to have some resolution so they can move on. And so I was a ghost tour guide. My degree's in musical theater, so I've ended up being a tour guide my whole life, basically, for some reason. Yeah. So I was a ghost tour guide and historian, and ghosts have been such a like theme of my life.
Wow.
We're going on a ghost hunt tonight. So, yeah,
we're going. That's amazing.
we are.
And
Yeah.
you will probably take over the tour. Like, this is how it is.
Not on
I
purpose.
know. I would consider her though. Probably only right? Like listening, but she's amazing because we've already done one together.
We have.
So this is just the beginning of our ghost hunting
Yes.
series to come.
Yes.
But I love that side of you, and I love that you are in the musical, the musical side, the performance side, and then you're also in the spirit. So it's where, you don't have to be just one thing.
Right.
You could do it all. You do whatever your heart desires.
Exactly.
And make it work.
And combine those worlds in a weird way.
Yeah.
Which is strange.
Well, I have to tell you, like, you being musical and knowing songs and singing, that's a side of like mediumship and intuition that like I don't have.
Yeah.
Because you would know a song that spirit would show you, or things like that. And for me, I'm just like, I know genres. I'm terrible at music. So it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah,
like,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah, because you can tap into a certain area that other people can't,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what you're used to.
Oh, yeah.
And that I love that though, that
I
you
love
would
that
know
too.
that, or you hear music and you're like, I know who that is, or I sing this song,
Yeah,
and like
that's
me,
cool.
I'd be like, is that? What is that? But it's a talent, but then you can use it in your gifts as well,
Yeah.
in
thank
your
you.
abilities.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I am dying to ask you a question about the ghost thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when the two of you told me this morning that you were going to this ghost hunt, paranormal
yeah.
experience, for me personally, that scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
And I'm just not, I love to see the metaphysical, but as far as the ghost thing, have you ever seen anything scary that you're like, oof,
I
what is
have,
that?
for
Or
sure.
is it anything to be afraid of?
No.
Just, would you enlighten our audience on what is the paranormal that we don't need to be afraid of, or would they harm anybody, or how does that work?
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so you've seen something scary. I have not.
I have, but I will say that was back when I was a ghost tour guide in Minneapolis, I think had that happened to me now, I probably would not have been afraid.
Okay.
But because of like where I was in my journey, I was like, what the hell is that?
Or maybe because you don't understand it. Or
Well, I mean, it was a
like you
a
didn't.
very spindly, creepy black shadow that came out of a bathroom and went up on the
Oh,
ceiling.
okay.
So it was very much like
Like
horror
scary.
movie vibes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know,
Yeah.
How would
that
that
was
not?
scary.
How would that
Creepy,
not
I have to
scare
say.
somebody? I mean,
Yeah.
But I think in development, you learn that they can't hurt you,
Okay.
Right.
and your fear can actually bring it on more.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
But I think, you know, it's also important, like we operate in the light, but it's also important to acknowledge the darkness, you know, and that is an entire, that's a thing. And it doesn't, that's not where I live by any
Right.
stretch, but I do think, you know, there are dark energies and light energies. And I think without those dark energies, our light energy doesn't shine as brightly,
Sure.
you know, and so, yeah, it's nothing to be afraid of. They cannot harm you. But you know, I think it's all about protecting yourself on a spiritual level. When you go into these places, you know, because it can be the most benign energy, or it can be maybe something a little darker, but it's less about the energy you're entering and more about the energy you're bringing.
Right.
I
That's
think.
a great point. That's a
Yeah,
great
I
point.
think so.
Okay.
I just, you know, Brooke and I did a house cleansing a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And before we went in, we prayed and we surrounded ourselves in white light, and you know, and that was just Little House Market Commons, honey.
Yeah, even like a
Yeah.
haunted, you know.
Not
we
like House
do.
of Prairie.
Right.
You have to remember, like when you go into paranormal investigations, or you're gonna feel the heaviness, the hurt, the pain,
Sure.
sickness sometimes, depending on what the people experience when they live there.
Yeah.
You will pick that up, but you have to remember it's not yours.
Right.
Yes.
It's not ours. It's us to honor it
Uh-huh.
and then move on. It's
Yeah.
not ours to hold on to keep, to take over us.
Mhm.
That would go more into fear, like, oh no, I'm feeling sick, I gotta go, you know?
Yeah.
Just honor it because
Yeah.
they're trying to tell their story.
Exactly.
Like Leigh said.
Yeah.
Respect
Trying to
them.
communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if fear has fed something, then sometimes it does manifest as darker
Correct.
energy.
Mm.
But yeah, it's all about, I think, how you enter and how you take it on. And I think at the end of the day, it's like you said, they're trying to communicate.
They just want to be heard.
Yeah,
that's
they
right.
just want to be heard.
They
Exactly.
they want to be heard,
Mhm.
right? Everyone wants to be heard, but
They
then
have
you
a
just give
story.
them acknowledgement, and then maybe even just remind them to go to the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just
100%.
want to be heard, and then you'll watch it almost like disappear.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
still around, but they don't bother you.
Yeah.
Nice,
You
nice.
know, you honor it, you talk to them, you understand them, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and hope they show up on camera.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah, concrete proof. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So question.
Yeah.
When did you come out of the spiritual closet? Like when you were saying, okay, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do this work. I want to be a ghost tour person.
Mhm.
What was it like for you? How old were you? And how did you tell your family and your friends and the people around you?
Yeah, good question. So like I said, I've always been into ghosts. So that was kind of no surprise to anybody. When I was a ghost tour guide, it was just like, it's another thing Leigh's doing, you know, like there she is. I come from a very like strict Catholic Republican family, like just very kind of conservative, straight-laced. So I've always been a little out there as, you know, a performer, and definitely more open-minded, I would say, than I, you know, more spiritual than religious, all of those things. But I think when I started to read tarot for other people, I think that I just started putting it out there, and you know, I had to have a little talk with my dad. He was a little concerned. But as far as the rest of my family, they just, I think I'll just kind of chalk it up to another thing I'm doing. And they just don't really, yeah, they're like, there she goes again. And they just don't really, you know, bring it up. I'm sure they talk about it when I'm not there.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, I think for me, I just have always felt so different. And like you said, like when it all clicked, there was not a part of me that didn't want to like live authentically and live out loud. And, I've kind of always been that way. Like, I'm just gonna be who I am. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you don't. And that's really none of my business.
Yeah.
My business is me. So I'm gonna do me, and y'all can get on board or not.
Right.
Love it.
Me too. I do too. I'm like, that's what everybody should be.
Yeah.
Either love it or you don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna change or shift to be what someone wants me to be. I think life is too short.
Yeah,
for
You're
that.
right.
Yeah.
You're
One of my
right.
favorite sayings is just be you because everyone else is taken.
Hey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So what would be one piece of advice that you would give to anybody listening on their journey and might be a little confused at which way to go, or just any advice you could give to somebody?
Well, I definitely think just be you. Everyone else is, there's a beauty in embracing your true self and your true way. And that's a Reiki precept, and I think also kind of like it's so fun and there's so many different modalities to try, and like just do like the spaghetti at the wall method and try a bunch of things and see what resonates and see what doesn't. And it's such a fun world to explore. And I think there's nothing to be afraid of. And I think I would also say that as long as you keep God, spirit, universe, whatever at the center of all that you do, then you're gonna work in the light. And yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's perfect for anybody listening. I love how you said, throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah,
You know,
there's so many cool things, and you can try like a bunch of different, and like for me, I'm a Reiki master, but like Reiki for me is not necessarily, Reiki for me feels more like a tool in my tool belt that aids me in other modalities versus Reiki being my main passion and modality. Because it is one of those things that can just kind of, it's always with you, but like there's also I know people that like Reiki is their thing, man. Like that is like their main thing. And I love that. But I think you get to pick and choose how the tools fit in your tool belt and how you utilize them and what you use together and what you use separate. And yeah, I think it's fun. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it,
Just do it and enjoy the process.
Yeah. It's fun to learn and fun to try new things,
And I think that's the artistry of it too. Doesn't to integrate like the music with the ghost tours and just it is like that bowl of spaghetti or that salad. You just kind of flow with it, and life is meant to be a flow.
Exactly.
We're just meant to just do. Just feel. Just do.
Yeah. Lean into it.
Yeah.
That's right. So then when people call you, Leigh, what do they call you for? What's your favorite people to serve? Is it like tarot reading? Is it the mediumship reading? What do you like the most? What do you like the most?
I mean,
The best stuff.
tarot is always my first passion, but I will say that when tarot led Reiki sessions are kind of all encompassing for me. So that will start with a tarot reading where we get kind of in depth down to the nitty gritty of what it is that needs to be addressed. And then we do a full kind of energy shifting, cleansing Reiki session using crystals and sound and just, and I think I use tarot as a navigator and how the energy needs to shift, and in tarot, the suits are connected to different chakras, and so there's a lot that can come through a tarot reading that can kind of inform the Reiki or energy healing that's gonna happen. So that's kind of my like favorite thing to do. When we can dive in, you're gonna be there for 2 hours, like get comfortable, I love that.
That's great. And I hope the people at home watching this can actually feel your energy, because as you were going like this, I could actually feel your energy. Like I can picture like me laying on your table and be like, okay, here's yours. I'm like, you guys might be feeling that at home too. I promise you.
Through the waves.
But so where can people find you? Where can they book? And you do groups as well, correct?
I do, yeah, I do. Tarot parties are really popular, and especially in October, but a lot of fun. Yeah, October is definitely the time that no one's scared of what we do, and then the November rolls around and they're like, oh God. But yeah, I have a website. It's leigkingintune.com, Leigh intune.com. You can book through there, or you can reach out to me on Instagram, which is at Leigh King in Tune, or you can find me on Facebook, and that's Leigh, Leigh Sauvageau King. That one might be a little harder, just because my
We'll
maiden
put
name
it in
is
the
a
comments.
yeah, it's
We'll
a
tag you.
little hard to spell, but yeah, pretty easy to find, you know. And I should probably, I think the thing I struggle with the most, like as a spiritual business owner, is the business side of it.
Right.
Which I'm not sure if you guys can relate to, but like
Yes.
just the kind of
We all have.
yeah, like
Yes.
you know, the kind of like keeping all the calendars linked and like those like knowing like, oh, my daughter has a doctor's appointment, so I have to make sure I mark that off on my booking count, and like those sort of things are kind of get away from me. So I should be saying book through my website, period, end of story. But if you shoot me a little DM, we can make it happen. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, however you want to get to me, we'll figure it out.
There you go.
You guys have to go check her out, follow her on all of her socials, and book a session with Leigh. I promise you won't regret it.
Well, thank you. I
Thank you
love
so
that.
much for coming today, being our first couch guest
Thank you.
in person finally
I
with our
know. Thank you so much
podcast.
for having me. It's been awesome.
And we hope you all enjoyed her episode. Go check her out, and we will see y'all next week. Have a beautiful day.
Yes,
And
namaste.
namaste.